You're welcome back, and this is the Marketplace. In our first story, plans are underway to establish what is to become Africa's technology innovation hub here in Ghana, with the goal of advancing economic growth. The proposed technology city, to be known as a Silicon Accra, would not only become Africa's global technology gateway, but would nurture entrepreneurs and startups to facilitate the local economy. Daryl Cole has more in this report.
The $50 million project would comprise 3 distinct units: a 60-acre master plan development expected to house offices, education centers, a retail complex, residential blocks, and general amenities; an investment fund that will run accelerator programs, investing in startups that would advance economic growth; and a community, including development partners and investors, that masterminders of the project hope to connect to entrepreneurs in the city. Speaking at a stakeholders meeting to discuss the project, CEO and co-founder of Silicon Accra, David Osei, explained the importance of the project.
Silicon Accra is an innovation district which seeks to breed a partnership between government, academia, and corporate to create that ecosystem for startups, not just locally but regionally, to flourish right here in Ghana. So essentially, we want to build that platform that has sustainable energy, that has fiber, that has internet facility to enable, the younger startups coming up, the large-scale startup coming up, to all flourish right here in Ghana. So why this project? Because now let's take 3 areas. Let's take sustainable energy, food, let's take food security, and let's take the healthcare sector. So all these areas are in need for radical innovation to take it to the next level. So this is not just an investment in a company which is going to bring you returns, but it's an investment in the future of Ghana and Africa at large.
Drawing inspiration from America's Silicon Valley, Silicon Accra will accommodate 20,000 people working, studying and living in the city. But how economically beneficial will this project be to Ghana? Desi Lopez is a member of the advisory board of Silicon Accra.
What it can do, is it can accelerate innovation. And it's through innovation that you can then grow your economy. As I have pointed out during my presentation, the capacity of a country to innovate is what correlates to its capacity to grow.
Okay. And I'm sure you've been around the world. You've seen, I don't know if you've seen countries that have adopted this kind of innovative means of building their economies. Any stories to share?
Yes, so I've given the example of Dubai, I've given the example of Singapore, there are many, I've given the example clearly of Silicon Valley, but because the States has already reached a certain level of development, you wouldn't think much of it, but it is clearly still a very important factor to the overall progress of the country. So those are 3 examples where putting these things in place actually work. But if you want an example closer, on the continent, look at what Rwanda is doing. In the middle of, they're like the spider in the web of Swahili-speaking countries, and they are doing a tremendous job there as well. And so the youth clearly is benefiting from having a focus on ICT, on information technology.
A task force has been put in place to assess the key performance indicators to build a successful ecosystem and garner investor support.
Well, Silicon Accra. Now, let's move on to some mining stories. And the mining firm Golden Star Resources is to invest some $90 million in its operations here in Ghana this year. The fund will mainly be for the development of its 2 mines in Wassa and Prestia in the western regions. This is despite the challenging economic environment and declining gold prices, which have seen a lot of investors shy away from the industry. But visiting Group Investor Relations Director Catherine Sutton says the move has been influenced by some exciting prospects for the economy and gold prices.
So Golden Star has been operating in Ghana for 15 years. We have a very strong relationship with our host communities and with the government. And we believe that we can be highly successful here and generate strong returns for all of our shareholders. I understand what you're saying, that it is it's quite a difficult time for West Africa in general. But we believe that we can be successful here, and we're looking forward to bringing online our 2 underground projects, as they'll extend the lives of the projects And now, hopefully, that we get stronger cash flow from that, we'll be able to extend the lives even further. I think the difference I've seen with Golden Star is that we have Ghanaian people in very senior positions. Our Chief Operating Officer, Daniel Awedu, is Ghanaian. We have many Ghanaian people in other senior roles. And I think it's their experience and their on-the-ground knowledge that really differentiates us. Sam Kurtzer, our CEO, has been active. He's a mining engineer. He's worked in Africa for many years, and he believes Ghana is a good place to operate. And from what I've seen during the past 12 days, all of our team are highly motivated. They really want to succeed. They want to learn new skills. And, I think that's the kind of place I'd want to invest. And hopefully, having spent this time here, I can go back and tell other investors and other companies that that's my experience. We're confident that the government will respect our agreement. We maintain a very open dialogue with them. They know that we have a strong history here in Ghana. And yes, we are confident to invest.
So for you, elections is no problem at all?
From what I've seen in the past, elections go pretty smoothly in Ghana. There's a history of non-violent, it passes without any violence. So whilst, obviously, maybe externally people might be worried about elections, we're not concerned. We're going to press on with our projects. Worcester Underground's already produced its first underground ore, and it's on track to commence commercial production in early 2017. And as I mentioned to you before, Prestea will commence in mid-2017. So it's an exciting...
Now, from mining, let's do some oil and gas stories. An export of crude oil from the country's second biggest oil field, Trinidad, Anyira, and Ntomme, is expected to start next week. This will happen after President John Mahama formally commissioned the FPSO vessel, possibly this Thursday. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
Joy Business understands that actual production of crude oil already started before this week. Sources say the field is actually doing about 23,000 barrels of crude oil a day. However, they are hoping to start exporting the crude oil after the formal commissioning of the John Evans Atta Mills FPSO, which will formally signal the commencement of commercial production on the field. The 10 partners have indicated that they have put in place the necessary measures to ensure that the challenges with the country's first FPSO on the Jubilee field do not reoccur. However, the export of crude oil will not come along with gas export to Ghana. Charles Darko is Chief Executive of Tullow Oil Ghana.
Gas supply to Ghana is under the plan of development targeted for 12 months from first oil. But we're in discussions with the government. We're working with the GNPC, the Ghana Gas, to expedite that. We remain optimistic that we can do that.
Commercial production of oil from the 10 field is expected to go a long way to improve the fortunes of Tullow Oil. After it recorded some consistent decline over the last 2 years, it could go a long way to improve the country's revenue from the oil sector.
Meanwhile, the country has been able to save about $842 million since it started exporting in 2011. These are receipts the country got from investing part of the earnings of crude oil export. The stabilization fund, which will be used to cushion consumers locally when crude oil prices hit the roof, has about $617 million, whilst the Heritage Fund set aside for future generations has almost about $222 million. Ghana has since April 2011 exported 2.7 billion barrels of crude oil, equivalent to about $3.3 billion from exports. And then here we do also have, so the Institute of Energy and Security, IES, has projected a further drop in fuel prices for the second pricing window for this particular month. According to the IES, market conditions are favorable for diesel and petrol prices to drop beyond 1.33% and 1.28% recorded, respectively, in the first August pricing window. This IES says is attributable to aggressive competition among the oil marketing companies, tied to massive drawdown of gold or old stock held by the bulk distribution companies, BDCs, as well as the low fuel stockpile in the country, informing projections for the further drop in fuel prices from August 14 towards. Joining us on the line is the principal research analyst of IES, Richmond Roxon, to tell us more about that. Roxon, what exactly is actually propelling this drive towards the direction? Why are you actually coming out this time to say this?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners. And basically, the fundamentals is what is guiding us into making these projections. And when you look at the fundamentals, you look at the prices of crude oil, you look at our forex. Basically, that is what we analyze to determine it. When you look at the forex, it's been relatively stable from January till now. From the first window till now, it's dropped by just about 0.9% according to Bank of Ghana's data. And when you look at crude oil prices, although it's been rising steadily as compared to the last window, it's risen by about 8.7%. The price that's flat for finished products has rather dropped. For the price of crude oil, it's gone up because when you look at OPEC, OPEC is thinking about capping the production because as of now there's oversupply of crude oil. U.S. is also producing as a shale. So production is a lot in the world. That's how come the price have dropped. But when you look at Platts, because at the moment we are importing just finished products, that is what we will use to guide us in relation to the products we consume.
Well, now, I do know also that it's not been that significant, if you ask me, in terms of the progression between, it's been quite volatile in the market, if you ask me. But the point is this, that why are you expecting prices here in Ghana to go down, looking at the fact that we do have some tax component embedded in our price buildup?
Like I said, if you let the fundamentals guide you, you know that the prices should be dropping marginally. At the moment, the deregulation policy we introduced in 2015 has really helped the market because of stiff competition. All OMCs are making sure that they have the lowest prices on the market so that consumers can purchase more. If you look at our release, we credited some of the OMCs that reduced their prices, and that's what the deregulation is all about. So aside the fundamentals, competition in the industry was also stimulating the reduction in price drop.
Okay, in your estimation, how low or how much you think the reduction should be?
We think that the reduction will be marginal. It's going to be around 1-2%. But then if you take into consideration from the time it started dropping to maybe December, you realize that it's really significant. We always let last year guide us. From June to December, we had seen about 30% reduction in the price. Initially, it was about 3.4, but eventually ended up being about 2.6. So although marginal, I'm sure with time you will begin to appreciate exactly how much is reduced.
What time are you looking? I'm looking at this particular window specifically because the last window we did see some decline which affected pump prices marginally though, but then, so this particular one that you're calling for, I mean, what percentage, in CD terms, how low do you expect fuel price at the pumps to come?
Between 5 and 10%. That's what we are looking at.
And you think that is significant enough to tell consumers?
It's significant. Every month we consume about 300 million liters. When you multiply 10% by 300 million liters, you realize that it's a very, very significant amount. And that's exactly what you're looking at. That even though marginal, it's going to have an effect. If every month you are consuming, let's say, 1,000 liters, when you multiply 10% by 1,000, it's significant.
Well, you also did talk about fuel stock. How about that one?
Yeah, in the last window, we mentioned that the fuel stock had reduced because, you know, there's a new policy that BDCs are using. Open credit, BOST started this and other BDCs have replicated. So by that quarter, the BDCs have to pay off the amounts they owe to their suppliers. And right after the payment, they've imported more into the country. So like we said, there's increase from 407 to about 470 million, which is about 6.5 weeks. That's about 7 weeks thereabout. So as a start, we are not importing any crude. We have crude enough to take care of for about 7 weeks.
Okay, we thank you very much there, Roxanne, for your time here, updating on what exactly is happening on the energy front and the need for Ghanaians to be expecting some marginal reductions at our pumps when we get there for our fuel. Now, moving on here on the marketplace, South Africa has applauded Ghana's visa on arrival policy, saying it is essential to boosting tourism in the country and Africa as a whole. Africa's leading tourism economy believes Ghana's decision makes it easier for people to travel and enjoy other countries' tourist attractions without having to endure visa acquisition challenges. Ghana currently offers visa-free entry for citizens of 15 countries within the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS region. Regional Director of South African Tourism, Evelyn Mahlaba, speaking in an interview with Joy News, urged other countries to emulate Ghana's policy.
Africa's leading tourism agency believes that Ghana's decision makes it easier for people to travel and enjoy other countries' tourist attractions without having to endure the bottleneck of visa acquisition. Ghana in July this year started piloting a visa on arrival policy for citizens of all the 54 AU member countries. President John Mahama announced in his State of the Nation address in February this year that Ghana will implement a visa on arrival policy. Ghana currently offers visa-free entry for citizens of 15 countries within the Economic Community of West African States region. Evelyn Malaba, Regional Director of South African Tourism, speaking in an interview with Joy News, urged other countries to emulate Ghana's policy because it makes movement of people, including tourists, easy.
It actually makes everything easy. You know that you have to follow the particular rules, but you don't have to wait for long to get approval for your visa. So it actually makes business-to-business movement of people a whole lot easier. And those are the items that are needed in growing tourism.
She was speaking at the 2016 South African Tourism West Africa Trade Roadshow at the Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel in Accra last Friday. Ms. Malaba noted that several factors hamper the growth of tourism on the continent, citing visa acquisition as a key challenge. She called on African countries to change perceptions of each other and form strong bonds to be able to attract tourists from across the world. Helani Picho, Regional Manager, South African Tourism, speaking on the importance of the roadshow, told Joy News that it establishes relationship between the Ghanaian tour operators and the South African tourism product owners.
Important and it's critical because it establishes relationships between the Ghanaian tour operators as well as the South African tourism product owners, such as hotels, inbound tour operators, airlines. So it's very important that the two meet because when the Ghanaian tour operators send clients to South Africa, they need to know the product and understand what it is that they have to offer.
The Accra Roadshow was preceded by a similar event in Kumasi for tourism stakeholders at the Golden Tulip Hotel in Kumasi.
We're taking a short break. Marketplace returns after. You're welcome. And this is the marketplace. Now time to sort of like go to the international market here in Ghana as well to look at how your investments are faring. The commodities, we'll be looking at the equities market as well as the currency market, all these and we're looking at here. Now, let's start with the international market where we're looking at the GSE All Share Index in South Africa, which recorded some decline of 103.37 points to close the year at 0.20% per annum. So that's exactly how the Johannesburg market is actually faring. But then the point is this, that in Nigeria also, the NSE All Share Index also improved by almost about 150 points and closed the year at 4.26% per annum. Now, in Egypt, where the EGX 30 index also recorded 91.84%, and also declined by almost 18.35% per annum. And in Morocco, the Moroccan All Share Index also saw a decline of 7.93 as the year-on-year still remains 11.01 in the positive direction. Now, in Kenya, the Nairobi All Share Index also moved marginally upward to about 0.30 and is still around negative 1.21% year-on-year insofar as the performance of it is concerned. So gradually you see the African market recovering itself as a result, some confidence actually imposing there by some foreign investors. And moving on here on the marketplace, Tunisia's Tune Index also declined marginally by 14.02 points and is still wallowing around 6.63 in the positive region, one of the positive returners on the African market. Now, Ghana, which is also doing very well currently as we speak, is now being able to reduce its composite index to about 9.52% year-on-year as we speak. Now let's move on to the Francophone region where the BRVM, that's the Bourse Regional de Valeurs Mobilier, the composite index also marginally improved as it did 0.09 in the positive, but been able to do 5.55% year-on-year in terms of decline for the performance of those who are actually holding on to their equities there on that particular market. Now, finally, we're looking at Mauritius on the continent. The Semidex, which also declined by 4.39, as the year-on-year is still recording marginally 0.82% per annum in the positive. So that's exactly how the African markets are faring in terms of indices and how they are recording quite some positive news there from the continent. So for those of you who would want to do some cross-border investment to sort of like diversify your investment, this is the market and this is your platform to actually watch. Now, moving on here on the market, insofar as your equities are concerned, we concentrated on Ghana to look at how Ghana also did impact the African market. Now, a total volume of 174,716 was traded yesterday at a value of 161.512 thousand Ghana cedis. Now, that brought market capitalization to about 54,670.25 million Ghana cedis. So exactly how the Ghana Stock Exchange is worth, if you ask me. All the equities listed on that particular market put together, it's worth 54,670.25 million Ghana cedis. Quite a recovery there, if you ask me. From the beginning of this year till now, it's actually been able to recover itself from some sharp and market declines there. But then it was able to sort of like also culminate 1.33 points, and it's currently standing at negative 9.38% per annum as year-on-year performance there. And the composite index also, in terms of the financial index, also recorded some 5.07 and is currently trending around 12.00% per annum. Now let's move on to the movers, those that were able to actually move the market. We talk about EGA, that's Ecobank Ghana, which recorded some 5% return to 5% return to their investors, and GCB, that's Ghana Commercial Bank, also returning 2. So for consecutive time, GCB has returned some significant returns on their investors over the period. Sometimes returns 7, sometimes 5, sometimes 2. So cumulatively, we are looking at something in excess of 1 Ghana cedi per share in a matter of 1 month. GCB. What exactly is informing? What exactly is driving this particular momentum coming from the Ghana Commercial Bank share price? Now we do have on the line Mr. Victor Avevo, who is a broker and a dealer at Car Brokerage there, to actually explain to us what exactly is driving that particular share price of GCB the way it's going. Mr. Avevo, you're welcome to the marketplace.
Hey, thank you very much.
Good. Simple. What is exactly driving that share prices of the GCB Bank?
I think investors are responding to the half-year financial performance of GCB Bank. This year has been quite challenging on the market, but GCB, if you look at their half-year financials, were able to increase their bottom line numbers from, they increased it by 25%, which is good, given how the market has been challenging this year. So I think investors are just responding to the financial performance.
But do you think financial performance is the only factor accounting for these increases? Because some other financial performances from other banks also were quite impressive, but they are not receiving this kind of confidence from the market, basically. Do you think it's only the performance of their financials that's driving the share prices upward like this?
Well said. That wouldn't be entirely the reason. I mean, there might be other issues that will affect the price. But GCB is one of those stocks. If you follow the performance of GCB, GCB has a lot of institutional interest. And even though our market as a whole is illiquid and not very efficient, GCB is one of those companies that always sees a reaction to its financial performance. If the performance is good, it builds up demand. If it's not good, it builds up supply.
Okay, so maybe finally in about 2-3 seconds, are we to expect this to happen maybe next 2 weeks or next month?
And from where I sit, I think this may carry through for a while before slowing down, because I still see demand from clients looking to buy Commercial Bank. So I think GCB may have the potential to go up a few more pesos before it slows down.
Okay, we thank you very much there, Victor Avevo, who is with Car Brokerage Services there, giving us some perspective and why is it that GCB shares are rising the way they are doing. It is as a result of the impressive financials they put up just somewhere around the first quarter of this particular year and then the second quarter, and also probably due to the reshuffling that they've actually handed in there. So that's exactly it. And it's where we end the market. It's also where we end the marketplace here on Joy News. My name is John Kojo Amwakoba. You can also stay interactive. Let's get your feedback. Our Twitter handle is Joy Business GH, and on Facebook we are at Joy Business. For more business stories, you can also log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a very good afternoon.